Gen2. As I said earlier, we are done with Power BI. Now we are moving to data engineering experience under Microsoft Fabric space. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome our amazing speaker for today, Mr. Isiaka Popola. Can you please welcome him with a thumbs up from chat room? Let's welcome him. Let's welcome him. So you have the floor, sir.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this training, which is another edition of Microsoft Fabric series. For those that have joined us from the first edition, you will see that we are moving ahead and we are not waiting for anybody. For whoever that's joined us in the middle of these sessions, I want to welcome you on board that you should take time to see what we have done in the past so that it can be of advantage to every one of you. As I'm aware, this is our third sub-edition on this training. The first edition was on Introduction to Microsoft Fabrics, where we talked about an end-to-end analytics on the Microsoft Fabric platform. In the second segment of this series, we look at Power BI, where people who are not in tune with Power BI wanted to see in real life how Power BI works. And that segment ended like 2 weeks ago. Just last week, we were unable to hold a session because of a global global event on Microsoft platform, which has to be with a global power platform. So this week we are starting another segment. I did mention this is the third segment. The first segment was on Introduction to Microsoft Fabrics end-to-end analytics. The second segment was on Power BI, and this third segment is on data engineering on Power BI. Data engineering on Power BI. And after this series, under this segment, we'll be moving to data engineering. This is data engineering. The next one will be on data science. So we want you to get prepared for everything that we have for every one of you. After data engineering, we also be moving to how we can administer Microsoft Fabric, like a kind of system administrator. How can you, if you are employed in an organization as administrator of analytics engineering, how can you make use of Microsoft Fabrics to achieve that objective? So, like I was privileged to lead the first segment, I'm also privileged to lead this particular segment too, which is on data engineering. In today's edition, we'll be looking at two items under data engineering on Microsoft Fabrics, and the first one is data lake. We'll be looking at data lake, and thereafter we'll also be looking at DataFlow Gen2. So those are the two things we have for today as regards data engineering on Microsoft Fabrics, right? So from the background that I have painted, you will see that we have a lot to give you, but it is now your job to create time and be passionate about what we are giving you. This is what people are paying a lot of money to achieve. I know organizations that pay as much as 500, 1,000 USD to get this training for their maybe members of their organization or individuals who need this type of training to achieve. But this is what we are getting for free, courtesy of community development services that Microsoft certified trainers are known for. All right, so just a minute, let me share my slide so that we can jump into the discussion together. Just a minute. Share. I'm sharing from my PowerPoint presentation. Please, can somebody confirm if you can see my screen?
I can see your screen, sir. Get
Thank you.
started with Lakehouses and ingest data with DataFlow Gen2.
Okay, so these are two components of data engineering on Microsoft Fabrics that will be taken today. All right. Then just a little bit about where I am as the speaker. My name is Kwokwala Isaka Olamileka. As a gamma area of specialization, I'm into information technology with more than 10 years work experience on a particular line item, which is data platform. By data platform, I mean I have for more than 10 years, I've worked on or I've continued working on database administration, data engineering, and data analytics. So I've had opportunity of building my capacity in this particular areas. And what do I use data platform for? I use data platforms for business intelligence in terms of analytics, in terms of data analytics, as the case may be. I also engage in automation of business processes, where I help organizations on how they can automate their day-to-day business operations. I also take part in designing and reviewing of exam practice questions. Like some occasions, I also consult for Microsoft partner organizations where the need for review of Microsoft curriculums are being taken into considerations, and I'm being consulted to also work on that team. I also do technical training for corporate organizations. I also engage in tech-based community development, where we look at issues that are trending within Microsoft feed, and we also engage ourselves as colleagues on recent technological development, where we look at what has been invoked and how best we can make use of those technologies to solve the problems of our clients and to solve the challenges that some of our colleagues may maybe experience at the onset of introduction of those products into the market. As a grammar certifications, I have a master's degree in information production and management. I'm also certified as data and cloud technologies specialist by Microsoft. Like I did mention, I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. I'm also certified by International Computer Driving License as a global trainer. For my contacts, you can see the list of my contact on the screen. You can reach out to me through any one of these. You can reach out to me whether through my email or through my X page or through my LinkedIn account or through my YouTube. All right. For the outline of our presentation today, we'll be looking at what is One Lake, interacting with Lakehouse items, various ways of getting data into a lake house. Then we'll be looking at DataFlow Gen2, and there will be some demos that we look at. There will be a few demos that we look at. All right. Yes, what is Lake House? Before I go to the history of Lake House, I want to take you down some memory lanes as regards different technologies that Microsoft or the tech as a whole has produced in terms of managing our cloud platform. We can know that on data engineering field, there are a lot of products that are being used to do data engineering, because I'll be talking more about data engineering because that is the concept of what we are here for today. For now, we get to know if there's a course that we call DP900. DP900 DP900 has to do with an introduction to data on Azure. Introduction to data on Azure is one of the Microsoft courses on data platform on Azure. Now, in this particular course, there are about 2 or 3 concepts under this particular course that has to do with how we manage our data, how we sort for our data. how we source for our data, how we manage our data, and what are different ways of having our data. From this particular course, we get to know that there are two ways through which we can broadly classify our data. We can classify our data from point of view, maybe storing our data. We can classify it in based on two areas. We can have it what we call file system. We can store our data through our file system, and we can also store our data in terms of managing those data through what we call databases. So those are two platforms that we can use to store our data. We have what we call file system, and we have what we call database system. Now, file in terms of file system, these are the ways that they are not complex in nature. When we have little data that are not complex in nature, we make use of file system, like a case of CSV. When we have a CSV or Microsoft Excel, or when we make use of our notebook. When you have your notebook on your Microsoft applications, you just use what we call maybe comma separated values. That is, you want to separate each of the columns from the other one, maybe by making use of your space, or by making use of comma, or by making use of semicolon, or by making use of hyphen. Those are the things that you can make use in separating your different items you have under a particular data set. Now, in terms of databases, basically we have two types. We can manage our data in terms of databases. There's what we call related database. We have a relational database. That's what we call RDB. RDB, that is relational database, which we also call SQL at advanced level. We call it SQL. And we have non-relational database, which we call NoSQL. NoSQL. So in terms of our data storage, so that it can be of help for us in managing and accessing our data from different platforms, those are two broad ways we can go through. We can go through the route of databases, which has two options. When we go through the databases route, we have what we call relational database, making use of SQL platform, or we go through the route of what non-relational, this is non, non-relational database, which we know as NoSQL. So we are not going into in-depth of that, but today we are going to in-depth of data engineering, or building foundation in terms of data engineering, which has a lot of relationship with issues around data management, data storage, and how we have access to those data, right? Data management, data storage, and how we get access to those data. Maybe in the next class, we'll be looking at something that we call a ADF, which is a data factory, Azure Data Factory. Is also another way. There's also from Azure Data Factory, there's also what we call pipeline. There's also what we call pipeline. All these are concepts around data engineering, But our interest today is how can we build a foundation for data engineering on on Microsoft Fabrics, and what are the parameters, what are the terminologies and some concepts that we can get across in order to work effectively as maybe data engineers, or working collaboration of data engineers with data analysts. All right, so from building a foundation as regards a lake house, somebody can ask, what is a lake house? A lake house, from Microsoft Fabric's point of view, a lake house is a data architecture platform for storing, managing, and analyzing structured and unstructured data in a single location, right? From the foundation that I was trying to build, when we are talking about relational database, RDB, that is what we call structured data. Structured data means a data storage platform that are stored in rows and column. When you have your data that is being stored in rows and column, columns means our attributes. We have different attributes, and when you are talking about our records are in form of what? In form of rows. We have our records in form of row, like a case study of serial number. We have row 1, we have row 2, we have row 3, we have row 4. Those are records. But when we are talking about columns, we are talking about, okay, what are the attributes? Each of the columns is regarded to as what? As an attribute. That, okay, we have the first attribute. Maybe I'm looking at customer profile as a table. I'm looking at a customer profile as a table. What are the likely items that I can have under customer profile? I can have maybe customer ID, course ID, maybe customer first name, maybe customer last name, maybe customer phone number, maybe customer email address, or maybe customer location and some other details about personalities that are involved in a customer table, right? Now, those are when you have a data storage opportunity that are arranged in rows and column. We call it what? Structured data. I'm breaking this down because of people who are just new into the data feed. That's what we are saying about structured data. But when you have unstructured data is a situation whereby you have different types of data formats that come together. Maybe data format can be in term of audio. You can have audio clip as your data format. You can have text as your data format, right? You can have graphics, just like animations. You can have graphics, or sometimes you can have combination of all these data formats. So when you have them together, different types of format coming together, that's what we call unstructured data. Unstructured data, that is data that is not arranged in rows and columns. Now, by the time we are talking about Lakehouse, right? By the time we are talking about Lakehouse, a lakehouse is just like a data architecture. Now, I've explained some part of data architecture the other time when I was talking about maybe we want to arrange our data in a particular format, which is has to be a relational database, or we want to have it on non-relational database, right? So, and the essence of having this architecture is for us to have possibility of storing our data, managing our data, and analyzing our data. Now, what Microsoft has now developed, before now, we have been having series of ways of doing it. We come from the file system. From the file system, we move to what we call relational database. From relational database, we move to non-relational database. And now Microsoft is now talking about data lake. Maybe you have not heard it. That's what we call a data lake. A data lake is just like a pool of data from different sources. Like when we are talking about river lake, when you're talking about river lake, a river lake is just like a pool of water from different water sources, right? That's the terminology we also borrow within the data profession, that we can now have a data platform whereby we source data from different places and we now bring it together in a single pool for us to store, for us to manage, and for us to have access in terms of any further operations that we can do on that data. So now from data lake, another technology now came up that is known as what? Data warehouse. Another technology came up that is known as what? Data warehouse. So from the data warehouse connect with data lake. So from the pool, data warehouse, we just go and select every column or all data content that I need to produce a particular result, and make it in aggregated form in order to have a visualization, or in order to have maybe our reports on dashboard for consumption by data users. All right, so now from those trends, we now come to what we now know as lake house. we now come to what we now know as what? A lake house. So a lake house is just like any other data architecture that I've mentioned, and I've given illustrations about what they do and how they have been of advantage in terms of their advent and in terms of their usage. So a lakehouse is just like a storage platform, right? It's just like a storage platform in the cloud, domiciled within Microsoft Fabric, where we make use of that platform for data storage, for data management, and for the data analysis that we may carry out. A data lake is a flexible and scalable solution that allows organizations to handle large volumes of data using various tools and frameworks to process and analyze that data. It integrates with other data management and analytics tools to provide a comprehensive solution for data engineering and analytics. So the idea is this. When we are talking about a lake house is being attached to a particular tenant. If you have not done introduction to Microsoft Azure, if you have not done Microsoft Azure, introduction to Microsoft Azure, which is a 900, is an 900 is a course that is known as Introduction to Microsoft Azure. That is where you get to know about some terminologies that are being used within Microsoft Cloud Service. Microsoft Cloud Service. From that is a 900. There's a concept we know as a tenant. There's a concept we know as a tenant. There's also a concept we know as subscription. Subscription. Right. From a tenant belongs to an organization. And what we regard to a tenant is just like maybe you need a house and you have not built one. You need a house, you have not built one, and maybe you are going for 3-bedroom flat, right? Inside your 3-bedroom flat that you want to, have access to. Of course, if you don't have money, you have to pay for it. So for you to have access to that building, you are being regarded to as what? As a tenant. A case study of the cloud now. You want to have access to cloud computing system or cloud computing platform, and you don't create one. So for you to have access to it, you have to know, you have to also be referred to as what? As a tenant. That, oh, this is a public cloud computing platform like AWS, like Google GCP, like Alibaba Cloud, and some other cloud platforms that you are not the owner. You are not the owner. It's not your on premises. You want to have access to the cloud. You have to become a tenant. And for you to have access as a tenant, you have to do what? You have to pay your subscription, because all the services that are available at that level of cloud service, they are not free. You have to pay for them. Likewise, when you rent a three bedroom apartment, you have to become a tenant because it is not yours. And by being a tenant, for you to have access to all the facilities within the house, you have to make what? Subscription. Whether you want to pay subscription. Sorry. And subscription is like a rent. Right. When in terms of maybe housing, you have to pay your rent, maybe on monthly basis, yearly basis, on as the agreement is with your what? With your landlord. So that's the kind of environment that we have also in the cloud. So um, likewise, Microsoft Fabrics is not free. It is not a free service. You have to be a tenant. That is, we have to, signify your interest by having access to Fabric services, maybe through subscription, and as the case may be. From there, you can now have all access to what you need to do on the platform. Whether you want to use that platform for data engineering, or you want to use it for data analytics, or you want to use it for data science, or any other opportunities that you can have that platform for. So, in summary, Microsoft Fabric is a platform where all data analytics architecture are being grouped together in order for different data professionals to work together. So, and if they have to work together, the only thing that combine all of them together is what we refer to as what? As a data lake. From all illustrations, I think you should be able to get that gist that a data lake is just like a storage platform or Microsoft Fabric that helps us to store, manage, and also do a lot of operations on our data set that we have in the cloud. All right. Um, Interacting with Lakehouse items. There are a lot of things that we have in the Lakehouse, but majorly we have two things that we have in the Lakehouse. When we come to the practical demo sections, I will show that to us. And before you can now interact with those two items, there are various ways you can use to interact with the items on the Lakehouse. We can make use of what we call Lakehouse Explorer. Lakehouse Explorer is just like an executable file. Lakehouse Explorer is just like an executable file. Um, Something that also came to my mind is just to let you know too that, like we have OneDrive, if you are aware, like we have OneDrive on M365, Microsoft 365, right? You know that OneDrive is just a storage platform for all enterprise applications on Microsoft 365. OneDrive is just like a storage platform for all applications, enterprise applications of on M365. That is how Lakehouse is also to what? To Microsoft Fabrics. That is a storage platform for all data operations on data different role jobs that we may have to do on that platform. All right. So, what are the ways that we can connect? We can make use of Lakehouse Explorer. I was saying that Lakehouse Explorer is just like an executable file which can help you to connect your laptop with the Microsoft Cloud, right? It can help you to connect or to sync. The best language is sync. So the Lakehouse Explorer can help you to sync your on-premises with the cloud by now having what we can call a kind of an hybrid arrangement. That is, whatever that is on your system. Likewise, the way we can do with our OneDrive, we can have our OneDrive store installed on our system. And from there, we can now connect to our OneDrive in the cloud. So it means that anytime I drop anything on my OneDrive on the desktop, it is already, once it is connected to the internet, it is already dropped also in OneDrive, in the cloud. All right. So also if I'm working online, anytime I drop an item into OneDrive in the cloud, it is also having a sync by being available on premises on my laptop. That's the kind of what a Lakehouse does, Lakehouse Explorer does. I think under demo, I should also be able to demonstrate this so that you can appreciate it more. You can also connect to Lakehouse items through notebooks, through pipelines. I did mention about pipeline, issues around ADF, Azure Data Factory, issues around the pipeline, issues around pipeline, issues around ETL, explore, transform, load, or EAT, explore, load, and transform. They are terminologies under data engineering, right? So you can also have what we call Apache Spark job definitions. You can also have what we call DataFlow Gen2. So because we are not going to the details of all areas of data engineering today, we will not be able to discuss this. Will not be able to discuss this, but we will be able to discuss DataFlow Gen2, how we can integrate DataFlow Gen2 into our Lakehouse. Of course, we also see how we can also make use of our Lakehouse Explorer to do a kind of an hybrid between our system and our what and our cloud. All right. As regards DataFlow Gen 2, I've just mentioned that DataFlow Gen 2 is one of the ways of interacting with what with a lake house items. And when we are talking about DataFlow Gen 2, in summary, DataFlow Gen 2 is just a cloud version of Power Query, right? Power Query. That's what we call Power Query, right? If you are used to what we call it, if you are used to Excel, you can see that Power Query has been integrated into Excel, which is just for on-premises tasks. So also in the cloud, Power Query has also been introduced to Microsoft Power BI, where you can also. What do we use Power Query for? We use it for transformation, right? We use it for transformation. Maybe you want to do data cleaning, or maybe you want to do data, especially data transformation. You want to do data cleaning, you want to do data transformation, which was what we have discussed in this series under Power BI. So I want you to make yourself available to check some of the series that we have done under Power BI. You will see how we can make use of Power BI for data transformation and data cleanup. All right. So now I can say that DataFlow Gen 2 is just an online Power Query. Like we can have our Power Query on Excel, or we can have our Power Query on a Power BI desktop. We can also have our Power Query online through the Power BI service. But since Microsoft has come up with an initiative that everything that has to do with data should be together, that's now we now call it. That's why Microsoft now call it DataFlow Gen 2. So another name for Power BI query is what we call DataFlow Gen 2, which is a technology that is now available on Microsoft Fabric. So now DataFlow Gen 2 can be used in data pipelines to ingest data into a lakehouse on other analytical store, or to define a data set for Power BI reports. So there could be different ways where we can make use of data flow. I did mention the core operations of data flow is data transformation and data cleaning. You want to match data together, you want to match different data sets, or you want to rename a particular column, or you want to rename your data set, or you want to do a kind of operations that we look out for in terms of our demo when we get there. All right. So now for our demos, we'll be having a look at a data house explorer, and then we also see how we can get data into a lake house, and also how we can create a data flow to ingest data. How we can create a data flow to ingest data. All right. So let me swing the um the Fabrics platform. For your information, if you are just new to this, the web link for Fabric is https colon double forward slash fabric dot Microsoft. Sorry, Fabric, it has app. That will be app.fabric.microsoft.com. So that is the web link for you to have access to Microsoft Fabric, right? https colon double forward slash app.fabric.microsoft.com. All right. So let me get to that and connect you to my browser so that you can see what magic I have to do on that. Just a moment. https colon double forward slash app dot fabric Microsoft.com. Let me also drop that on the chat. Let me drop the link on the chat. All right, so I've dropped the link on the chat. That will be the platform we'll also be going to now for you to have access to all the services available on Microsoft Fabric. All right, let me share my screen. Just a moment. Let me share my screen. Please confirm you can see my screen. Can everybody see my
I
screen?
can see your screen. I can see your screen, sir.
Okay.
Google, sorry.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you can see your screen, Mr. Popola.
Thank you. So this is the web link. This is the web link, like I mentioned and I posted on the chat group. But for your information, before you can have access to this link, or before you can sign in into this platform, you must have a Microsoft account, right? You must have a Microsoft account. Let me explain quickly about Microsoft account. There are two ways of having Microsoft account. Let me quickly do that. Create a Microsoft account. Can you see that? Create a Microsoft account. There's a link. All right, this is the link. Create a Microsoft account. Because if you don't have Microsoft account, you can't have access to the Fabric, right? So there are two ways of creating a Microsoft account. Is either you have an existing email address for you to create a Microsoft account. Existing email address, for instance, my own is upola.io@gmail, right? That's my email address. Maybe I'm using I'm using um I'm using maybe I'm using Yahoo, or I'm using my organization email address. I can register my organizational email address on Microsoft and now become a Microsoft account, right? Any organizational address or any public email platform like a Gmail or Yahoo, you can register it and become your Microsoft account. Secondly, you can make use of Microsoft existing um, email platform or email exchange platforms. Like for instance, now I can come here and say, okay, I want to use my surname and initials then at outlook.com, or instead of Outlook, I want to use maybe hotmail.com. So anyone that is of these are email exchange platforms of Microsoft, whether Outlook platform, whether outlook.com or hotmail.com, right? You can go ahead to create that. So immediately you have created this, then you can now have access to this Fabric platform. If not, you will not be allowed. So let me also drop this link on the chat. Just a reminder on how you can create a Microsoft account. This is just for somebody who is not having a Microsoft account or who doesn't know how to create a Microsoft account. So let us now assume that all the conditions are now satisfied. Then we now want to log in into Fabric's platform. I just click on enter. From clicking on enter, the first thing that will come is that what are my login details, which are from the Microsoft accounts that I have. Can you see now? Login details. So I'm making use of this particular login details. It's asking me for my password, which I've created from a Microsoft account. I've provided that, there I'm signing in directly. So my account is being verified. Oh, I have off my phone data. That is that's MFA, multi-factor authentication. This phase we are seeing is what we call multi-factor authentication that I have to acknowledge. Please let me quickly check that on my phone. There's one Microsoft application that is on a Microsoft Authenticator app. I just have to accept that I'm the one, trying to log in to that platform and not somebody else. Authentication. Let me quickly accept that. Okay, it has come. That's 6-4. Yes. Yes. We didn't hear from you. Send another request because it has taken time and they want to be sure it was not somebody else that was having access to my account. I have to accept that again, which I've done. So I'm now being signed in. So that's another concept under um, as identity and access management. Identity and access management. That's another subject matter, not within this one. So now this is the fabrics environment, right? Where we have different solutions. If you want to work as a power analyst, data analyst, this you make use of Power BI. If you want to work as data engineer, you make use of Data Factory and Synapse Data Engineering. This is we make use of Data Factory and we make use of data engineering for what? Um, for data engineering. If you want to work like a data scientist, you make use of this platform, which is Synapse Data Science. If you want to work like a database administrator, which is DBA, you make use of Synapse Data Warehouse, right? And this is also a real-time analytics, like a data analyst. So data analysts make use of Power BI and Synapse real-time analytics, especially on data that have to do with big data, uh, like Internet of Things, live streaming, and some other concepts like that. So now from here, I now have access to the fabric. Then if I want to see the list of, we call it experiences. We call it experience. Can you see experience? Experience means different areas of Microsoft Fabrics. It means different areas of Microsoft Fabrics. I can just come here and see different areas of Microsoft Fabrics. Like I can see them from here. I can also come here. The essence of this one is that this is the shortcut, because immediately I click on anyone here, it may be difficult to come back here. So the shortcut of seeing them again is to click on this, right? So now our first demo is on what? Our first demo is on Lakehouse, and Lakehouse, like I mentioned, domicile within data engineering, right? It is domicile within data engineering. So I have to select data engineering. All right, so from data engineering, you can now see that I have Lakehouse, I have Notebook, I have other environment. I did mention about the data pipeline the other time, which is for data engineering. I also mentioned something about Apache Spark, Apache Spark job definition, which is also for data engineering, but these are not. I also mentioned about Notebook, if you can remember, that these are the different ways we can connect with our lake houses, because they are all components of what? They are all components of data engineering. All right. So now this notification, thank you. Now, before you can work on any fabric environment, you must have your workspace. So if you don't select your workspace, it will just go to, it will select the default. It will select the default. A workspace is just like maybe a folder that we are using to carry out maybe a particular task that, oh, I want everything about this to be inside here so that anytime I need it, I will not be looking for somewhere else to see that. So if you don't create a data, if you don't create a workhouse, it will just assume that you want to make use of the default, which is my workspace. But if you want to create a new one, which is advisable, you just go to the workspace. This is workspace. If you want to create, if I want to use any one from existing one, I can just select any one. These are the ones that I've created earlier, right? So now if I want to create another one, I just come to a new workspace. Let me create a new workspace and let me call it demo data, demo data engineering, right? So it means that I want to create a file system whereby everything I want to do on today's demo is being domiciled, right? So if I have to write any story around it, I can write stories. If I want to, maybe I have an image to identify it very easily, I can upload if I have anything. If not, I can just click on apply, right? I can just click on apply. All right. So we can now see that I've just created a demo. I've just created what? I've just created a workspace that has to do with what? Synapse engineering, Synapse data engineering, right? So if I want to see the list of, if I want to see the list of my workspaces, I can just click on different, I can just see the list of workspaces that I have, right? And anyone that I'm working on currently will be highlighted here and will also be placed here. This one is just telling me that I'm working on a workspace that its name is what? Demo underscore data engineering, right? So from here, I can now say, okay, I want to create a what? I want to create a lake house. Now I come to a lake house and I have to create a lake, I have to give a name to a lake house. Please remember, the way I've described a lake house is just like a storage platform where which helps us to manage issues around data storage, around data management, and data analytics, right? So let me just call it data engineering, data engineering. Oh, it doesn't, you see now, it's sensitive. It's not accepting special characters. Maybe I just call it data. What about engineering? Yes, underscore is accepted. Data engineering underscore lake house. So that's the name I want to give to it. Then I click on create. I click on what? I click on create. So I was saying something the other time that anytime you have a lake house, it has two items, right? It has two items. It has item as regards table and it has item as regard what? As regard file. All right. Can you see now? This is data engineering lakehouse. It has what we call uh, successfully created SQL analytics endpoint. Thank you. So now it has what we call a table. But if you check now, there's nothing inside. It also has what we call file. Those are the two items that we have under lakehouse, right? Now, and anytime you also create a lakehouse, there's what we call SQL endpoint. If you check up here, anytime you create an item in the lakehouse, you also have what we call SQL analytics endpoint. SQL analytics endpoint. That is how this has made it very easy for people that are data professional, right? This lakehouse is just your folders and file, what you have just brought in terms of folders and file. But in terms of SQL analytics, whatever you have, ingested, data ingestion now, whatever you have ingested as data, we can now do analytics with it, making use of SQL. Now, the advantage of this is that it will convert what we have uploaded into a SQL Analytics endpoint format, so that you not need to, upload another data that we need to feed your SQL Analytics. For instance, now, if you are familiar with SQL environment, uh, there's what we call command and syntax. If you want to create a table, you have to follow the command of create, right? And when you initiate a create command, there are some syntax that follow it. For instance, now, if I want to create a table, once I issue a command in the SQL environment, maybe my SQL Server workspace, immediately I use command create. The next syntax is what? What are you creating? Oh, I'm creating what? Create. The next thing is table. Then after I've mentioned that I want to create a table, the next syntax is what? What is the name of that table? Oh, I want to create table whose name is what? Customer profile, like the one I mentioned the other time. After I've now satisfied customer profile, it will now ask me, okay, what are the different columns or attributes that I want to create within that table? You can see that that's a long process. For whoever that does not know about SQL environment, this has given you an opportunity to make use of SQL environment without any writing any code, without writing any SQL language, without even knowing about how you can make use of SQL syntax and the commands. That's another thing about it. So by default, because it is a data lake that I've created, so it has selected data lake house. And if I want to go to SQL Analytics, it will also take me to SQL Analytics. And from the SQL Analytics, that is where we'll be having information about what my query, my schema, my security, my shared query, and some other things. We'll get there very shortly. Let us go back to lake house. Let us be done with a lake house. Now we are on the lake house. Now, for you to bring any data into the lake house, you go to the file system, or you go to the file. Now, what are the ways you can upload data into the file? You click on these three dots, right? We are exploring lake house now. Please pay attention. You click on these three dots, and these are three options we have. These are the three options we have to upload what? To upload data into the lake house. This one is just a direct upload, maybe by making use of files, maybe individual single files. If you want to upload the individual single file, you click on upload files. If it is a folder that has a lot of content, you click on upload folder, right? Now, if you want to make use of new shortcut, that's what we call new shortcut. What new shortcut does is that you already have an existing storage somewhere, right? Please pay attention. For new shortcut, what it does is that you already have an existing storage platform somewhere, and you just want to connect with that link of that storage platform. For instance, that's what we call ADLS, Azure Data Lake Gen 2. Azure Data Lake Gen 2, which is a service under Azure, Microsoft Azure, or in the Azure portal, right? Maybe I have a data storage. Maybe I have a blob account, or I have a storage account, and I've kept my data under that platform, and I want to have access to them. So the idea is that for the new shortcut, what shortcut does is that it doesn't upload the entire file, right? But it's link up with that file, so that if there's any changes, maybe in the data file that we have on that link, if there's any changes, it will also reflect under our data here, under our files here. That's the advantage of new shortcut. Advantage of new shortcut is that you are not bringing in a file copy of the data from its source, where you are rather connecting with a link where that data is domiciled. And from there, you can now have what? We can now have access to it. That's a long process. I could have demonstrated it, because if we have to do that, once we create a platform, let me quickly do something like this. I'm looking at my time. Maybe I want to access my Azure portal. I want to access my Azure portal. You see now it's asking for login details. From Azure portal, let me switch to another account. I want to make use of this, right? I want to make use of this. This is Azure portal now, right? This is Azure portal, which is a cloud service platform by Microsoft. Now, let me, there's a storage account that I can have access to. There's a storage account I can have access to on the portal. Let me create one, and you see now, you see that it is not free. This is my credit balance. This is my credit balance. That look, this platform is not free. Like I mentioned about um, tenant and the tenant and subscription the other time, that your tenant is just maybe your organizational account that you are using to access this, but you have to have what? We have to have money. Microsoft know they do free. Even if they do, even if they give you free, it means that they are giving you equivalent cost of that. They can say, okay, we are giving you 100 USD dollar every month free. That does not mean it is entirely free, but there's a price tag. And that is why if you exhaust 100 US dollar per week, per month, instead of 1 month, you finish it in one week. That's your own cup of tea. It's not their business. All right, I was talking about different storage platform that we have on the storage on the Microsoft storage. We have Blob, we have Blob, we have Azure Data Lake Gen2, ADLS Gen2, we have Azure Files, we have Azure Queues, we have Azure Tables. These are different storage platforms. Let me quickly create one. My subscription is this. If you don't have subscription, you will not be able to do anything here. You have to have a subscription. From here, let me call it resource group. Resource, let me call it my resource group. Let me call it RG resource group. I want to call it data fluence 2.0. That's my resource group name, right? Because that's the name of this program we are doing right now, of this series we are doing right now. I want to have a storage, and that storage I want to call it maybe data engineering, data engineering. Just a moment. All right. I want to call it data engineering. Just let me call it data engineering. That's our file name, right? That's our storage account name. You must have your storage account name. This one is existing. Let me use something else to identify our, because it must be unique globally. It must be unique globally. Somebody is using this. So the feed cannot contain lowercase. Okay. So that's an instruction. So let me use this. I'm sure nobody should use this globally by now. So it has been accepted. This has to be region. All these are another concept that may be needed if you need. So I click on review and create. So I just want to demonstrate how you can use new shortcut. That's new shortcut. If you want to bring in your data from new shortcut, that's what I'm trying to achieve from here. How it works. Okay, this is going on. I'll come back here. So we also have what we call new subfolders in case you want to have different subfolders. So the main folder we have here is just file, but for me, I like to have a subfolder, and I want to call it data, because you may have different subfolders. You may have different subfolders. Maybe I'm carrying out different projects. I can have different subfolders. Can you see now? Instead of bringing in data under files, I've created a subfolder so that we just be bringing things down inside. So how do I now bring my data in? I click on these three dots. I click on upload. If it's a folder, I go to folder that I want to bring in. If it's a upload files, if it is single files, I can just come here. So what I have for you is from single, and where it is located. It is located on the desktop. All right, let me go to my desktop. From my desktop, this is the data that I'm bringing in, superstore data. I click on this, then I click on upload. So you can see that it is being uploaded into the data house, and the file size is also being mentioned, which is 1 MB. 1 MB. All right, so as at now, the data has been what? The data has been uploaded successfully. This is the time, this is the file, this is the file format, and this is the size. So immediately I did that, I was also notified that a SQL analytics endpoint of SQL query this has also been what? Added. So I don't need it now. Okay, I don't need it now. Okay, can you see now? Download One Lake app. One Lake app. This One Lake app that I mentioned the other time is when I want to connect. If I want to connect this my cloud system, if I want to connect it with I want to have an hybrid arrangement. That is, I can be working on my lake house on the desktop, and I can also be working on it together in the cloud. Let me click on that. I can click from here. If I click on from here, it will download the One Lake File Explorer. I did mention about One Lake File Explorer the other time, which is being used for lake house. I can click on here. I can click on download. So this is just for you to have an hybrid environment that I explained earlier, so that whatever you have on your system, which is on premises, you can also have access to it in the cloud. Let me quickly see that. I'll show that to you. Just a minute. So from my download file, I've moved it to the desktop. And if I just need to install it, I just click on install and it will be installed. So, but for me, I don't need to install it because I already have it on my system. I already have it on my system. But I can also demonstrate how that can be done. Let me share I'll come back to the browser. Let me quickly share that my entire screen so that you can see it on the desktop. Just a minute. Here is my stop, then share. What do I want to share? I want to share my entire screen. I want to share my entire. I want to share my screen. Yes. Okay. So I want to share my entire screen so that you can see from my desktop point of view. Please confirm you can see my entire screen, right? Can you see my entire screen?
Yes, you can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. So if I double click on this, it will install the One Lake, which can give me an opportunity to integrate my One Lake on the desktop with the One Lake in the what in the cloud, which is on the Microsoft Fabric. All right, but I don't need to do that because I have one already. And if you look around this side, you can see that I have OneDrive, the one that I mentioned the other time, that is for Microsoft 365. I also have One Lake. Can you see One Lake? So if I go through this process, it will be installed here. But since I have it already, so I just don't want to do that repetitive again. So you can see that I have one Lake Microsoft from Microsoft Fabrics. These are different lake houses that I have created. The one that I did today has not been updated because I've not refreshed. And if I have to refresh, I have to come to let me come here. If I have to refresh, I have to go to let me check again. Just to refresh, come here, right click, so that it can add up all workspaces that I have that contain some other activities. Maybe we can come back to this one later. All right, let me share my web browser again. Web browser. Okay, this is my web browser. All right, so for the storage that we are creating the other time, I can just click on create. By the time I click on create, initializing deployment, and we can now have a storage account. From this storage account, we can now drop anything inside, and then we can now connect with it later. So we are coming back here. So from here, I now have my data set here. So now, as at now, there are a lot of things that we can do with this data set that is available, right? Now, if I want to convert it to a table, right? Because if I do a preview from here, if I do a preview of this data set, preview not available because I've not converted it to a table. Now, let me convert. How do we convert it to a table, right? I can click on this. Are you looking? I can click on this and say load to table, load to table, because I want to make it accessible. And the name I want to call it is what? It's not data. Name table, new table name. Okay, let me call it data. The file type is CSV, right? Then I click on load. I click on load. A problem occur while validating the file in the folder. Okay. The issue is that maybe the file format is not CSV. Let me quickly check that. Maybe file format is not CSV, the one I uploaded. Oh, can you see now it's not CSV? It is not CSV. The file type is what? XLSS. So it cannot work. It can only work with what? Packet and CSV. Those are the things that you need to pay attention to. If you upload XLX, it will not work with it. But if you convert SLX to CSV, it will upload with it. So now, let me quickly convert that just in a moment. I'm happy this happened so that you can understand how things work. Let me convert that to CSV. So the only two data formats that work with Lakehouses are what? Packet and what? CSV. So let me just save this in CSV file. Save as. Then then I have it saved in CSV. CSV, right? Then where it's being stored, it is being stored on my desktop. All right, perfect. So it means that the data that we uploaded, we cannot make use of that. Let us now upload another one that is in CSV. All right, so we go through the process again. From here, we go to upload files, and from desktop, data source from desktop, and this is the CSV, right? This is the CSV. Open, then load. So this is about 2 megabytes instead of one that we had earlier. So let me delete the one we don't need. I just click on delete and we are fine. We are fine. So this is the CSV now. This is the CSV now. So from the CSV, I can now convert it to a table. Just click on these 3 dots and convert it to a what? A new table. And the table name contains invalid character. The valid character is the space that I have. Let me just use underscore, right? And I click on load. A problem occurs while validating the file. What is the problem? Details. What is the details? Invalid column names, order ID, this, and that. And decimal digits, no space characters are allowed. No space character allowed. Okay. So the idea is that the challenge is that, please, can somebody see this error details? Can somebody see this error details I'm seeing?
Yes, please.
Yes, I confirm that I can see the error details.
Okay, so the error detail is that in naming the columns on the data set, I use spaces like this one now. Customer space name, like sales rep space rep, right? It is complaining that it is not acceptable.
Okay, which probably an underscore will have been better from the onset.
Exactly, which is
Okay,
that's another thing. That's another thing you need to take note. When I'm, this error is from what? Is from my file that I want to upload. The
Yes,
first
from
error
the
was,
file itself.
yes, the first error was that, oh, this guy, you are not using CSV. We corrected that, right? Another error is that, look, if you want to work with me, your column names should not have spaces, right? Must not have special characters. Instead of special characters, you can use maybe underscore. But in this case, I use strong head. I just use now your because that's another thing about Power BI. Power BI will accept this without any complaint. Power BI will accept. Has somebody tried that? Power BI will accept this without any complaint. It will accept this without any complaint. I want you to get this right. Let me quickly look at another data set I can share with you.
Hello, Mr. Popola. Sorry, quick one, sir.
Before you go on, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Before you go on, sir, Temitope is asking a question that are
On
you
chat.
currently using? Yes, in the chat room. It's asking whether you are currently using a corporate account now.
Yes, it's corporate account. It's corporate account.
Okay.
So I guess I've exhausted my trial period for Fabric, because I know that there was a time I was trying to explore this a while back, some months ago, right?
Okay.
I think that's why I'm not able to get it. But another question, yeah, I think I am
Please,
aware
let us keep our questions. We have a section for questions, so that we will not be distracted. We will not be distracted. So let me look at another data set that is not having this error, so that we can also. I want you to see the SQL side of it. Immediately you convert your data set to table, you should be able to have a SQL side of it. That's my end result. Let me quickly do that. Sorry, let me stop my browser from sharing, so that some other sensitive information could not be shared. Just let me drop that, just a moment.
Mr. Popola, sorry, please. I'd like to, couldn't the first file, the XLS or the Excel file, couldn't that be converted to a table?
To CSV. I converted it to CSV. The only way you can convert to CSV is to change the format of saving.
Format, okay.
So it is in XLX. They are now received as what? CSV, yeah. I received as CSV.
Okay, so it has to be received in a CSV before one can upload.
So the only way Lakehouses work is CSV and PowerPoint files.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Please hold on with questions. Let me quickly do this. Let me get another data set that we can use. Just like 2 minutes. Microsoft Fabrics. Microsoft Fabric. I'm happy these challenges are coming up so that when you're on your own, you can remember that when it happens, this is how Popola solve it, right? So I want to download a new data set. Says desktop. Okay, perfect. I've downloaded another data set which is just says. Let me share my screen now. Share. Then I'm sharing my what? I'm sharing my browser. All right. Can you share my browser? Can you see my browser, right? Can you see my browser?
For me, I cannot see it for now.
I can see your browser. Yes, I can see your browser.
Okay. So let me bring another CSV file that is not having that challenge. We take it again. We go from here. We go to upload files, and the file is located on the desktop. The name of the file is says. It's being uploaded. Fine, says has been uploaded. Do I need to do refresh, or you come up by yourself? Okay, it has come up by itself. Now the idea is that we are moving this into a table. If you look at the table, we don't have anything on that table because we have not converted any data into a table. It is only in table that we can have the SQL endpoint. So let us convert this. We go to from here, new table. I want to call it what says. We click on load. We hope this is okay. Fine. This one is not having any challenge. We can see that until all conditions are satisfied, that is when you can move ahead. And that's an opportunity for you to debug. If you are not good in debugging, I will have been stuck if I'm not having experience about debugging process or what it is required and how do I need to move ahead. So this is loading now, and by the time it has loaded, it will just appear under the table. Okay, it has not come up. Just let me refresh. I just click on refresh. Wow, it has been under the says. Can you see now? So if I now click on the says, I can now have a preview. You can remember that if when I uploaded and I tried to open preview, it didn't show up because I've not moved it, I've not converted it into a table. It is only on the tables that you can now have what we call a preview that has been arranged in rows and columns. So our preview is loading. While this preview is loading, let me quickly take you back to that our Azure where we wanted to upload a file the other time. I wanted to upload a file the other time. It is not here. Where is that? Maybe I have okay, yeah. Twitter account. Okay, let me just take it back. Now let us go back to here. We can now see the preview. We can see the preview of the data that has been uploaded. It is can you see that there is no space in between the column headers. No space. No space. And that was the error of the second one that we encountered. That look, you have not fulfilled the requirement for using this service. So from here now, we can see that we have our SQL endpoint. So now we can see that we have our table. Now, if you want to see the content of the table headers, this is the content of the table headers. If I want to convert this to SQL, I don't need to write any code. I just change from here. I just change from the Lakehouse to what? SQL Analytics endpoint. And everything will be fine for me. Okay, now, can you see that my SQL is loading? From here, it has created schema by itself. It has created whether I want to have guests who can have access to it. It has created security information. It has given me views. It has given me almost everything that I need. So now, if you are used to SQL Server, if I want to display anything, just let me right click from here and let me select top 100, which is a SQL instruction that, okay, from this data set, select top 100 for me. You see now, I have to write this command. I have to write this I have to have this SQL command before I can get the result I want to see now. But here, I'm not cramming anything. I'm not writing anything. It is automated. It has given me the first 100 from the list that I have on the table. The first 100. That's given me the first 100. So if I scroll down, we see that it will end at 100. That's all. I requested for the first 100. It has generated without writing any single code. That's one of the advantages of this platform, that it has integrated. If I just need only 3 lines, just let me change 100 to 3. 100 to 3. I'll just see that I click on run. I'll just see only 3 lines. Top 3. Can you see the top 3? I have details as the case may be. If I have to write any other, maybe I want to check another SQL code again, I go to the sales table. I right click. I click on new SQL query. Right. I click on new SQL query. Maybe I want to check something again. I'm not going for top 100. New SQL query, or I can come from the top here. I can just click on new SQL query. So let me look at the syntax from here. Okay, from number 1. Let me look at syntax from number 1. What is my interest? I want to select. I want to use select. Then I want to use count. That is, I want to know the number of rows that we have in the data set. From where? From what's our table name? Let me copy the table name from here. I don't need to cram anything. I just come here. I select the table name. This is the table name. Sorry. This is the table name. I just go to tool and drop it. So the idea is that I want to see the list of what? The list of rows that we have. Can you see? This is the number of rows that we have in the data set. We have 32,718 rows, right? Without any. So I can now rename this. This one is just to select. That is select. This SQL query is to select. What is asking you to bring this? I don't need this. This is select 100 first rows, right? This one is what? Total number of rows. Oh, sorry. Total number of rows that is in the data set, right? I click on this. So if I have to do any other thing again, I just come to new SQL query, then I move. Then there's another component that has been added to Lakehouse, is the concept of this new visual query. New visual query. This is where you can now do your what? You can now do your query. This is where you can now do your query in terms of what? Visualization. Maybe you want to create visualization from here. Let me see the visuals we can create from here. You can now see that we are doing so much new reports from the same data set. Yes, from the same data set, we are creating reports immediately. Can you see? We are creating reports immediately by making use of what? New visual query. New visual query. This is ongoing. New visual query. You can now see that we started from what? We started from point of data engineering. We are now heading up to the point of what? Data analyst, right? We are now ending to the point of data analyst. So from here, maybe I just want to display information as regards maybe I want to show the quantity. I want to show tags, and I want to show unit price, right? Maybe those are the things that I'm interested in, right? So, and we have landed into the environment of a data analyst. We came from the point of view of a data engineering, and we are now landing. This is what was not possible in the past, that data analysts will just work on their own software applications to deliver results, and data engineering we need to work on their own separate data engineering platform and send the results to data engineer or data analyst for some other things to be performed. So this has been an integrated solution that everybody is happy to work with. Everybody is happy to work with. So from here, if I have to do maybe page 2, I can do my page 2 and continue from that. All right, that is fine. So let me go back to my Lakehouse. So would you like to save changes to this report? Yes. So if I want to change it, maybe demo report. So it means I have already built a solution right now, right? I've already built a solution right now, which will be added to my data engineering Lakehouse. So let me go to my data engineering Lakehouse. Data engineering. If you check from here, you can see there's a report here. There is data engineering Lakehouse. So this is from where we started data engineering. We have seen how we have uploaded and how we have converted to SQL, and we have also seen the demo report that we have just created now. So from the time remaining,
hello, sir.
Just a moment. From the time remaining,
you have 3
I'm
minutes.
aware. Not, is it 3 minutes or 30 minutes?
Okay.
Is that is
3
is
minutes? 3 minutes.
Let me chop another. Let me chop
okay,
another
on,
5 minutes. Let me chop another
Please
5 minutes.
go on, sir. We're enjoying this lecture.
Thank you so much. So from here, we have now seen that if I need to go to the report, I can just click on reports directly, and it will take me to the report side of what I've created. If I want to go back maybe to something else, I just go back to my data engineering platform. If I'm interested here, I go there. So those are the things that we use data lake for. It is the foundation of data engineering on the it is a foundation of data engineering on Microsoft Fabrics, and I've taken so much time to explain all the things that you need to know. When I was getting it, I didn't get it in a batch like this. I had to get it do this one first, and it has become a solidified opportunity for you to have at a go. All right, let me quickly go to a demo on DataFlow Gen2. I will tell you that DataFlow Gen2 belongs to, it's not under data engineering, but it is under data factory, right? For the Lakehouse belongs to data engineering, but DataFlow Gen2 belongs to data factory. Somebody should be able to ask me a question. Why is it under data factory? It is under data factory because the primary purpose of data factory is to do what? For data ingestion and data transformation. That is the primary purpose of data factory. Data ingestion and data transformation, which is not the business of data engineering, right? The business of data engineering is what? ETL, extract, transform, and load, or what? ELT, right? Which is about making data prepared for what? Analysis and some other things I want to do with the data. But for data factory, it is being used for what? Data ingestion. Ingestion means what? Ingestion is a term in the medical field. When you talk about ingestion means what? We are bringing something in, whether through the aura or body system, maybe through your blood veins, That's this ingestion in medical term. We also borrow that in the data platform feed, that we ingest data into a platform for us to do any kind of operation that we are interested in. All right, so let me quickly demonstrate that. We go to data factory. From the data factory, you can see two things that we can do with data factory. One, you can bring in data through what? DataFlow Gen2, which I mentioned is what? Is the online version of the Power Query. DataFlow Gen2 is online version of online version of what? Data query, right? You can also bring in, work with data factory through what? DataFlow Gen2 or pipeline. Data pipeline is another feed of data engineering, which is maybe I think it's next class. It may be me or somebody else that will take that section. But let us look at DataFlow Gen2, which is the online version of Power Query. DataFlow Gen2. DataFlow Gen2. Okay, before this one loaded, let me go back to engineering, to Azure. So now our online platform, data storage platform has been created. I can go to the resources, and if I have anything to bring it in, I can now bring that thing in from here. I can click on container. From the container, then this is data storage that we just created. And then from the container, let me call it, what's the container name? I want to call it maybe data, just data. This name may only contain lowercase. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Data. I call it data. If you can remember, I came from here where we wanted to use new shortcut, how we can link a storage data from a data link. So now let us upload something here. We may not be able to complete this process because it requires some other what we call access token and some other details to have access to that. But just to let you see how it works. This is loading. Don't take our time. We'll come back. So this one is still finished. I hope my internet is fine. My internet is fine. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
very loud and clear, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So when this thing is slow, I thought maybe it's network. Maybe it's performing another operation. I don't know. So this one too is also slow. Oh. Okay, this has come. So where's my data available? Is on desktop, which is says that we used the other time. Says open, then upload. It is uploading. So now this data is now available. So if I have to ask access to it from if I have to have access to it from Microsoft Fabrics, I have to go through the what? Who can remember the route I have to go through? If I have to connect an external storage link, maybe I want to have access to this data. Who can remember from what I've mentioned? What route will I take? If you know, just say it out. So now we have left that stage because of time constraints. Now we are on the Gen2. Can you see this is the interface of what data? I mean Power Query, whether on the Excel application or on the Power BI service. This is the interface. So the first thing is that for me to use Gen2, so I have to mention which type of data am I bringing in, right? So I can bring in data from what? Excel, from SQL, from this. These are default one. If I don't see the one that I like from here, I can go to get from another source. I can click on get from another source, but I can see Excel here. Just let me pick Excel from here. And from Excel, am I using a link or I'm using upload file? I want to upload file. If it's a link, from what we have from here, I can just have a link to this, right? I can just have a link to this and ask this Gen2 to connect with that link. If I know the link, I can just connect with this link and go ahead. But here I want to upload from file, and the file is on the desktop. From the desktop, I select what? I select this. I have to select all files, and the file that I'm interested in says. I click on OK. Please select the files. This extension. Oh, this one is not accepting. Another constraint. Please, can you imagine that? This one, Data Factory, is not accepting CSV, but it's accepting what? All other ones. Okay, no problem. We know who you are. We go back. We have those two fashions. We go for Superstore data, and it is being uploaded immediately. So you don't need to, once it is uploaded, you don't need to click anything than to click what? Next. Just 1.4 megabytes. Okay, uploaded successfully. I click on next. I click on next, which is connecting. We are working on what? We are working on DataFlow Gen2, how we can use it to ingest data into Microsoft Fabric's platform. So from here, this is where we call this navigation pane. That's where we see the details of all the table, all the columns we have from the data set, right? We are picking this, we click on create. This is where we see the preview of the data we are bringing into the platform. It is loading. So now it is assumed you know how to use Power Query environment. If you don't know, you go and watch the previous videos that we have done under Power BI. I think it was one of our sections that we made use of that environment. So from here, you can now go ahead with various operations you want to do under this arrangement, right? And once you are done, we just let me do one transformation. Which transformation can I do? Can somebody suggest to me one transformation I can do from here? Can somebody just recommend? I want to know if you have idea about data transformation processes in Power Query. Can somebody suggest? If you don't tell me, I will select. I will do one for you. Maybe from here, I want to delete the first 4 columns. Maybe I don't need them again. I'll select the first one, select the second one, select the third one, select the fourth one. Maybe that's the only thing that I want to do, that I don't need all this for my analysis. I click on what? Remove. Can you see two types of remove? We have remove columns. If I click on this remove columns, it means that those ones that I've selected. Then remove other columns. Remove other columns means all those ones that are not selected will be removed. So it depends on the way I want it. Let me select remove other columns, so that I'm left with only only 4. That's a simple data transformation that we have done. From the list of what we have reduced 23. We are having 23 columns before, but we now have what? 4. Can you see? 4 columns now. So if I want to go back to where I was before, I can just delete the last operations that I did, and it will take me back to where I was before, when we had 23 columns, and multiples of rows. So if I'm done with this, I just click on publish. And I can now go ahead to make use of this for any kind of operations that I'm interested to do, right? So can you see now under data flow? So what I've done is to what? I've ingested data. So from here, I can just rename this. I can rename it from data flow to what? Maybe what I've used that data for. Maybe you can suggest just something that you can rename it to. But the idea is that it is a DataFlow Gen2, and that's why it is labeled. That's even if we are renaming it, but the data type is what? Is DataFlow. All right. So, and from here you can do what? You can do refresh. And other settings around this. So that is how far we can go for today on 2 topical issues under data engineering segment of Microsoft Fabric, which have to do with what? Looking into Lakehouse and exploration of Lakehouse, and also looking into DataFlow Gen2 and how it can be of advantage to us in terms of our analytics and some of the operations that we have. I want to thank you so much for your time and for your patience. Let me take you back to my slide where all of that things continue. Mr. Rashid, I'm back to you. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much. This is 401. Can we still make provision for questions?
Yes.
Okay, so if we have any question at this point,
please, I need to jump to another class now by 4. Just let us round up in next 2-3 minutes. I'm supposed to start another section by 4. Yeah.
So we have just 2-3 minutes before our speaker go. So if there is no question, it is like everybody's fine.
Somebody was attempting to ask question the other time.
So the floor is open if you have question.
I have addressed the concern. If I have addressed the concern, that is fine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Popola. Okay, so I think my question will be at that last, the DataFlow Gen2 that you stopped. So you publish the data set, but what if you now want to use it to create a report? How do you go into the reporting side now?
The way we have used the other time, that that we have from what has been published, we now have to move it to our we have to connect it to our files. From we have under Lakehouse, we have file and we have table, so we have to link it up in the files, and from the file we now convert it to a table. You cannot go ahead with your analysis.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So, Mr. Popola,
any other question?
Let me drop my link on LinkedIn.
Okay.
If you have any, I have to jump up to another class now. Just let me drop my link. This is my link on the LinkedIn. You can find time to engage me for any questions, so that those waiting for me will not be, will not be looking for me for a longer time. Let me quickly type this again. linkedin.com/in/Ola.io. So that's my link. I've shared it on the chat. That's my link. We can get connected. If you have any questions, we can find time to to talk together. Thank you for